The next question comes from Frank Mealy and will go to Mr. Zinke.
Various senators and 2 presidents have been, for the past decade, proposing some kind of immigration reform. President Obama seems to be stepping up the pressure on Congress by slowing down enforcement of border security and in some cases halting customs procedures that allow for arrest and deportation of illegal immigrants. Do you believe that the United States has an obligation to accept as legal residents of our country those people who arrived illegally, or would you work on legislation that would force the president to enforce existing laws such as E-Verify that would make it difficult or impossible for illegal immigrants to get work, thus encouraging them to return to their countries of origin?
Well, immigration present policy isn't working, is it? You've seen the news recently, thousands of kids coming across. What are you going to do with them? So I think the answer is we've got to secure the border, especially if you're a landowner in Texas and some of the border states. You don't have access and use of your land. And the United States, as a government, is not supporting your property rights. So I do think you need to shut the border down. Work visas for people that are legal here, yeah, it makes sense to me. There's about 6 million immigrants that would go back and forth that are held here because they don't want to go back and forth in fear they'll get picked up. So work visas are appropriate, but also is that I think we should speak English. As a one nation under God, a unifying message is our language, and we have to be able to talk to each other. We have to communicate. We have to articulate and argue. And so speaking English is important. Lastly, if you serve your military, and as a former commander, I can tell you I had a lot of people that I fought with and served with that weren't U.S. citizens. In the Philippines, Poland. I think if you serve your military, our military, then I think you should go to the head of the line. It's not amnesty, it's earned citizenship.
Mr. Fellows, your answer?
Well, we had some major immigration reform back in '86 under the Reagan administration. We just need to follow the laws on the books with regards to allowing people to come into this country. I mean, those immigrants just want a better life for themselves and their families. If we could find a way to improve the country's economy in, say, Mexico and Guatemala and some of those Central American countries where they're coming up, we certainly could invariably stop some of the flow of immigrants coming to the United States. But they want to come to the United States because they want the land of the free, and they want to improve their well-being for not only for themselves but their families. And somebody once mentioned the fact that we've got a lot of people in this country that really don't want to work, that would love to just sit around and collect welfare, and we've got people coming in this country that would love to work, and especially some of those ones where we actually need their experience with computer science and some of the other things that we should be allowing in this country anyway, because if we need the experience, and it certainly it would benefit us and benefit some of these companies in the United States. And so there's things we can do, but right now we do have laws on the books, and let's follow them.
Mr. Lewis, your answer?
We're a nation of immigrants, and each new wave of immigrants throughout our history has helped advance our country. And we do have a problem. We have 11 million undocumented workers in this country, and we need to do something about that. But we shouldn't punish kids of those here illegally. We've got to do it the right way. And this is one of those tough issues that it's going to take both sides coming together and coming up with a solution to fix it and enforce our current laws and to fix the system. Can's been kicked down the road for many, many years. It's been too long since we've had an overhaul of our immigration system, and it's time to attack the issue, and I'm willing to try.
Mr. Zinke, your response?
Well, John, I appreciate you asking about my family, but for the record, is that I do not own property in Santa Barbara. My mother-in-law does. Former consul to Peru under Eisenhower, who's suffering from an illness. And so because my wife is the only child, my wife spends a lot of time there in Santa Barbara. So I think it's the right thing to do as a family. So just for the record. Immigration, we need to fix it. Because at present, the laws, no one knows what they are. I have good friends at Customs, I have good friends at the border, I have good friends across the spectrum, and no one understands what the law is. and that needs to be fixed. The law of the land should be appropriate. It should be enforced. So yes, can both sides get together and form an immigration policy that makes sense? Absolutely, and it needs to be done.
Mr. Fellows, your response.
Well, I think some of our problems, too, stem from the fact that we have this sort of welfare welcome wagon at the border. But I think some of the other troubles we're going to have is some of these people that have been here 15, 20 years that have already established a job, they've already bought a house, they've already had their children anchor babies, and we can't just automatically it's going to be tough to uproot some of these families that are being productive citizens in this country, that are paying taxes, that are owning property. And so we got to look at some of those things as well. So sometimes we almost have to look at these things as a case-by-case basis when it comes to who we're going to send back because of their illegal status.
Mr. Lewis, your response.
Again, we need to enforce the laws we have, improve the system, and this is also about growing the economy as well. And we've got to find a solution that I think to our immigration problems that can grow the economy in terms of growing our workforce and contributing to things that benefit us all, like Medicare, Social Security. So let's find a solution to it. And again, I come back to this tough issue that Congress has to be willing to start the conversation, work together. Both sides have proposed solutions and it's gone nowhere. So we need to get some movement on fixing our system.